Yes.
You don't meet people like this every day. So for you to come here and learn all about Beth and all the other guests and what they have to share, that's my mission now.
She's a lady. Whoa, 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 she's a lady. Talking about that little lady.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Just Us Grown Up Girls, and I want to thank you for tuning in. But I also understand that when you're scrolling through Facebook, it's hard to stop and watch a long video. I am trying to make them a little shorter, but what you can do is save it for later on Facebook. And you can also please go to youtube.com and search Just Us Grown Up Girls. And if you subscribe and ring the bell, you can watch the videos there when you have time. And you can even see the whole channel, all the videos. So, thank you again. I did something a few weeks ago that I was really nervous about, but it helped me to get a better understanding of myself and accept the person that I am. It also was a way for me to feel more in harmony with myself. Mm-hmm. And this lady right here was the person who helped me do it. This is Beth O'Leary. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Rose. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being with me. And you're visiting back home now, but I know you live in Ireland.
Yes.
Which is fascinating. Mm-hmm. Can you guess what Beth does? If you guessed that she's an astrologer, you are correct. And she's going to tell you all about what she does and what she doesn't do. So here we go. Beth, first, tell us a little about yourself.
Thanks, Rose. Yes, my name is Beth O'Leary, and I am a teacher for 20 years, and I started studying astrology about 4 years ago after I got my first reading, which was phenomenal and changed my life. But as I discovered and realized, even during my reading, that I have been really studying astrology all my life. That it's always been a passion of mine. It's always been an interest of mine. And then I discovered that it's so much more than our sun sign or our horoscope blurb in the magazine or the newspaper. I loved the words you said. I became in harmony with myself. I saw my potential, and this is what astrology is about. Mm-hmm. It's a journey, it's an adventure, it's a self-discovery. I was studying psychology for years, and I found that I always had this feeling of that I wanted to help people, but I wanted to help them by fixing them, right? Or like saying, oh, you need to improve this, or try and do that less. And astrology has elements of that, but what astrology really means for me is that it shows a person they're whole, they're complete, just as they are, and they're born with a set of talents and gifts, and there's challenges in there that I can help them through. So the chart is a pie shape. It's round, and it's shows a basic chart reading has 11 luminaries, as we say, and it starts off with your ascendant sign, where the sky, what was happening in the sky at the time of your birth. So that's why birth time is very important. And then it sets up the whole chart, and it shows you the layout, and it shows your energies and your strengths and your weaknesses. Like a Leo sign is a fire sign. So some people who have a Leo sun sign would feel more fiery and passionate. But sometimes Leo aren't as fiery and passionate because they have more water in their chart than fire, even though they're a sun sign. So this is what people don't realize, and they can't identify with the horoscopes and some of the silly things that happen with astrology. Yes. So astrology is deeper, it's much more complex than that, and it really helps you find your purpose, your soul purpose, or your potentials, and it helps you really identify with them. Yes. And it gives you lots of information, and then it's kind of like up to you whether you're going to step into that true potential or not, because some of us are afraid to be who we are. Yes.
Okay, and I also want to mention that even though you live in Ireland, we did our reading over the phone.
Yes, a lot of people, some astrologers will only do face-to-face, but most astrologers do Skype or over the phone. And I find it really works well, and it's a free call for the client and so forth, so there's no charge that way. And but also I feel like you can see your chart in the comfort of your own home. We can talk about it together, and I feel like it's more relaxed, a relaxed setting for
Yes,
someone. And if they want a
it
further
was.
one, sometimes people then want a face-to-face
Right.
or Skype.
Right.
I got this quote by Carl Jung, who is a psychoanalyst, and he was the protege of Sigmund Freud and so forth, and also studied lots of different things, one of them being astrology. And he saw that astrology could be a tool for people to have a deeper self-awareness and to grow. So he quotes, his famous quote is, "Those who look outside dream, those who look inside awaken." So I really feel that this encompasses what astrology means. That if you want to awaken, or so a lot of times people are at a crossroads in their life, either in their relationships, their career, or parenting, or their children are looking for career guidance and so forth, or just want to get to know themselves better, or maybe feel stuck into some patterns and so forth. And astrology is, to me, the most powerful tool to help you get deeper self-awareness and understanding. There's lots of other, like there's personality tests, and there's numerology and other things that people get into, but astrology encompasses a lot of that.
Right, and it's so cool because if someone gives you their birth date and their time of birth, you go from there.
Yes,
And-
and birthplace.
Yes,
Yes.
birthplace.
Yes.
Right. So how does that work? What's the process?
Right, thank you. So my personal process, I always meditate and do like a prayer and a meditation when I see someone's chart. So I look at that and I meditate, and I usually see a vision, or I hear a song, or I see something that helps me feel through the chart and know where to start. The birth time sets up the chart and tells you it's called the ascendant, and it shows you the beginning of the chart and how the chart's going to be set up and so forth. So it can be quite complicated, but basic reading does give you a lot of information.
Right.
And helps you
Right.
have a self-awareness. The planets are set up to each other, so there's a mathematical component. Then there's a scientific component about astronomy, the planets themselves,
Right.
what they represent, and then spiritual, the aspect of the archetypes and the mythology and so forth, and myths behind it. And it's also very, I think, artistic and beautiful, because people learn about themselves and they learn about these charts and these archetypes and so
Right.
forth. So even though it's a complicated process sometimes for astrologer, it's much more for me.
Right, not for the person having the reading.
Right.
Beth does it all for you, and then she shares the chart with you.
Right.
And explains you and your life, and somehow it all just seems to make sense. Okay,
Right.
so I'm sorry to interfere, but
No,
I
no,
get
and
excited
that's really
about-
good, because
Yeah.
remember, it's very good for most astrologers, and I really believe that, to ask a question. Why are you here today? What's your interest? So some people want love, career, money issues, or feeling unstuck, or just want to maybe move, and so forth. So I can look at a chart and focus on that question. But I also find it interesting with my process that I believe it's co-creating.
Yes.
Like that you and I are working on the chart together. So you asked the question
Right.
about your career and your
Right.
work, but then I saw some things that I thought were going to be pertinent right now for
Right.
you.
But I really didn't tell you that much.
No.
You knew so much about me and my life and my past and my present and my future, although you're not a fortune teller.
Right. Yeah.
You-
Astrology is not predictive. However, there's patterns in an astrology chart. There's transits, which is transits are what's happening. Right. The stars in the sky are always moving, as we know. So things are transiting around your birth chart, and things are transiting right now in the sky, moving around like a full moon
Right.
versus a new moon, the crescent moon, and so forth. So things, as we know that how the moon cycles, so does the whole chart. So it's very interesting. That's where in your future, I can say, oh, this would be a good time for you to set up a career, set up a business, because
Yes.
this is happening in your chart right now, and
That's
so
so
forth. And people
cool.
like to hear that because they feel sometimes like I should have started sooner. And I actually sometimes find it interesting that a lot of my clients, I'll say, really, you came at the perfect time. That it was meant for
Yes.
you not to start until now,
Yes.
because you had to do certain things before you got there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And Beth told me that I had 2 stages or 2 periods in my life where I would go through drastic changes. And one of them was between the ages of 59 and 61. And lo and behold, I'm really going through some drastic changes. And she told me that the wild horse is my spirit animal. And I researched that and I love it. There is a little story behind that. I'll tell you. The morning of my reading,
Yeah.
I was at a friend's house and she had this picture on the wall of these wild horses lined up by the ocean, and it looked like they were inside the wave, and they were white and gray, so their colors kind of melded into the colors of the wave and the beach. And I was so drawn to that picture, I couldn't stop looking at it. I kept asking my friend about it. I loved it. She kept telling me, the bathroom's down the hall. But I was so drawn to that picture. And then 4 or 5 hours later, Beth told me when she meditated, the first thing she saw was wild horses on a beach, lined up. You said 5 or 6 or 7 of them. And that's what was in that picture. And and then when she
And the
said
same
that's
color.
in the same color, she showed me a picture. That's what the horse looked like. That's what they look like, and it was just such a phenomenon for
Yes.
me that I just couldn't believe it. So anything else you told me after that point was like, wow.
I found that so interesting because that's a Socratic moment. Like
Right.
Carl Jung, he would always say is that there's these messages being sent to us all the time, going back to the quote, if we're open to them, we awaken.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, oh, that's interesting, but maybe going deeper with it. That's more than interesting. That's maybe a message for me to do something or not to do something. So that's where I find astrology is such an important tool. So many people feel that sometimes, oh, I wish I did, or I wish I didn't, and aren't accepting themselves for who they truly are, and that's
Right.
what astrology shows us our potential, our soul human potential, like that we're here to live lives as best as we can. And if an astrology reading can actually wake you up, help you remember, shake you up and say,
Right.
wow, that's what I did love doing that. I do like networking with people, for instance, with your
I love
chart.
people.
Yes.
So
And
when I
you're
figured
naturally-
this all out, I said, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yes.
And
And it was-
you mentioned that in our reading
Yes.
as well.
And even the technology point of it, like that there's an innovative side to you that's
Oh, I'm learning.
Yes.
But it is frustrating because I
Yes.
spent years not doing it, putting technology aside. I was busy raising kids and doing all kinds of things. But now, believe it or not, it's pretty complicated just doing this little show. I'm learning as I go, and I actually am enjoying it. Once I learn it, I think that wasn't so bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And see, I feel like when people step into who they truly are, their sole purpose, if you will, some people, we can say live their full potential or something like that. And that's what astrology reminds us, because the one thing I find is that I love psychology. Carl Jung was a famous psychologist and so forth. I have my master's in psychology. However, it was astrology that really opened me up that we're whole. We're born these perfect beings with imperfections.
Right.
With
Yeah,
lots of
I don't like the word
imperfections.
perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but we are these perfect beings with loads of imperfections,
Yes.
like the yin and the yang symbol in Chinese, and darks and lights, and shadows and lights and masculine energy, feminine energy. So we're born with everything in us. And sometimes we don't want to, we're afraid to put ourselves out there, or
Right.
we're not self-aware enough. But when someone becomes aware of these qualities that they have and these desires, like women will say to me, I like nice things, and they'll have something in their chart. I'm like, this is a chart that likes nice things, and they always they feel relieved, like, I do like nice things.
Okay.
It's okay, but they felt bad, or there's something, a cultural no out there, a feeling that they get, like, well, I'm materialistic, I'm superficial. And when I explain to them, no, this is a true desire of yours. Now, if you're starts to become imbalanced and you're becoming a shopaholic and you have credit, debt, so forth, we might want to reel that in and pull that in, because that's one thing I love at the beginning of this talk with you, is that you use the word harmonious.
Yes.
Feeling in harmony with myself.
Yes.
That's probably the theme of astrology. Becoming more at peace.
Yes.
And making harmonious decisions and feeling more.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's happening inside me just from our reading. And you told me to listen to the song Wild Horses, the Rolling Stones. I listened to it a few times, and I could feel it plucking at my heartstrings, I looked up the lyrics. I thought, yeah, that's right. I'm free.
Yes.
And-
Free to be me. That's what my first reading gave me, too.
Oh.
Free to be me.
Uh-huh.
And I remember joking, that the Sammy Davis song, I Gotta Be Me,
Oh, okay.
I remember feeling that after I hung up, like, wow, I'm free to be me.
Uh-huh.
And I felt like I was like, whoa,
Yes.
weight was lifted.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry.
You also told me that you described me in my life. You said, you used to be the hostess with the mostest, the one who took care of everyone and made sure everybody else was fed and clothed and taken care of, but you put yourself aside and you said, not anymore, because I'm 59.
Yes.
I'm going through this change. And even before our reading, I was at the point of not making dinners anymore, not caring if the house was clean. I'll get to it, but what I'm doing right now is most important.
Yes.
So that just verified it for me.
Yes, and
Yes.
inner authority was your Saturn's second return around that age. And it's fascinating because I'm forgetting now, sorry, Rose, where
okay.
Saturn was in your, it's probably in your 10th house, transiting right now in your 10th house and of your work. So it's this inner authority of that, this is what I'm meant to do. And the other things I have to learn how to say no, like was a thing, like going to meet someone for a coffee. Yes, I can if it's something to do for my work. But no, sorry, I have to take a rain check because you have to have that inner authority and that time to
Right.
really focus on your work, which I found interesting. And that you have, Rose has this desire in her chart. Like we all want to have achievements, but hers is in Capricorn. Your Saturn is in Capricorn.
Okay.
Just keep achieving and seeing yourself reaching higher and higher,
Yes.
and you feel like now you're willing and able to do that.
Yes. It's not just about me though. I really want to reach other
Yeah.
women and
Yes.
share these great stories. Like,
Yes.
you don't meet people like this every day. So for you to come here and learn all about Beth and all the other guests and what they have to share, that's my mission now. So I just want to mention, Beth is mentioning Capricorn and Saturn
Oh, yeah.
and everything. She went through my chart with me and explained all that, but you know what, I realized that's her specialty, and I probably won't pursue studying all of those things. I just took from the reading all of the other stuff.
Yes.
I mean, maybe sometime later in
Yes.
my life when I have time, but the content that you gave me.
Yeah.
First of all, we had an initial phone conversation, then you studied my chart, then we had another hour or so on the phone, and you sent me a report with everything in it, and you also sent me the audio recordings
Yes.
from our conversations. So you really packed it in there, because I know with my memory, I don't remember what I talked about with someone yesterday.
The audio recording is really good,
It
isn't it?
is. It is.
That most
So-
astrologers do that.
Yeah, I really
that's really
appreciate
important.
that.
Yes.
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 So,
Yeah.
what else did you want to tell us? Did I forget to ask anything?
No, just that, where I can be contacted, BethAnnO'Leary@gmail.com.
Okay, I'll
And
put
then my
that on the
website
screen.
will be up and coming probably, hopefully before Christmas. So once
Okay,
again,
nice.
I like what you said, like it's not just about you achieving, it's about us helping everyone.
Yes.
Because that's what, another thing that's
Yes.
so, I loved
Yes.
working with you, is because it is about everyone. The world is a better place. We're all happier.
That's right.
Living our potential and making time for ourselves and our desires and our dreams.
Yes. Yes. we
And
have
that's
to
why I
do
love
that.
astrology, and I help people identify that it's okay to take that time.
Yes.
Yeah, and-
Absolutely. Yes.
And also explains why sometimes at certain stages of our lives, we're not going to do that, and that's okay too. Do you know,
Right.
especially as mothers and so.
Right. So
Yeah.
this is the time.
Yes.
This is awesome. Is there anything a person should fear about getting an astrology reading?
No, thank you for asking that, because some people have said to me, I was very nervous about this reading because they thought I was going to maybe tell them something negative or focus on something, because we all have a past, and lots of times we have a mixed path. We have things that, trauma, but we also have happy moments and so forth. And of course, an astrology reading could address some of this if the client wants to. Like, I'm working with you, like as we work together, like I kind of gauge what you wanted to talk about things around your career, but I also, in the process with the meditation, I also felt like there was a message coming through that I felt you needed to hear for right now. So I will do that with a client, but there's definitely nothing to be afraid of, because we all have challenges and so forth, and we might bring up something, but it would be in the most productive way, and understanding where people don't have to be nervous, that there's nothing negative.
So you can't predict death
No,
or
no.
illness
Right.
or really bad things that people fear.
Well, some astrologers could see in certain things in a chart. So I would never want to say that astrology, because astrology is so vast and so amazing and so forth. So it can, but I'm not going to discuss that, and that's not going to be a part of any of my readings and so forth. However, if someone was repeating patterns, as we all know, like it's not astrological knowledge, that if someone keeps in a relationship that is hurting them, that they're going to maybe get stress issues and so forth. But yes, I'm not going to discuss any of
Okay.
that. And even
that's good to know.
And even like,
Yes.
remember we kind of discussed, I ask at the end, may I ask a few private or personal questions? And some clients are content with the reading and
Right.
don't want to go there and ask
Right.
those private things or
Right.
something about childhood. So
Well, I can
Yeah.
tell you one really strange thing that Beth asked me. She asked if I was ever disappointed in my father or even embarrassed of him. And I thought, wow, that's really cutting deep there. But when
Yeah.
I answered, I said, well, yes. My dad had some issues when he was younger with alcohol, and that caused some problems. And then later in life, I think he was in his 40s, he injured his back at work, and then spent the last 40-ish years of his life in a chair, really not being stimulated or doing much. And he was really just existing in my mind. And sometimes it was hard to relate to him, but after a while, I just grew to accept this is the way it is. I wanted to say that Yes, it was embarrassing sometimes if we went to any events, weddings, or funeral. My dad really didn't have confidence or the communication skills, and I would compare him to other dads or men. So, yes, it's funny that you would ask that question, and it I don't know where it came from, but the answer was true. And then you told me, well, that my dad wants to be helpful to me now, even though he couldn't do it while he was alive. So I should look to him as my guardian angel. I'm going to start crying. And I have been. Okay, so it took me a minute to dry my eyes, but I'm glad that I went through that experience with you. Yeah.
No, and I'm thank you for sharing that with your audience and people out there, because astrology, it can bring up patterns and childhood things and so forth, and we had talked extensively before your reading, so I felt comfortable and that there was an opportunity that tied into what was happening presently with your life to bring that up. So you were very open to talking about that.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing,
Yes.
because it is important that's one of the reasons why you're working out. You wanted more for yourself and for your life and to live your passion.
Yes. And honestly, that experience gave me strength. I do pray to my dad now, and it really helps, and I appreciate that. So you've been doing this for 4 or so years?
Yeah. Well, I've been studying for 4.5 years. I probably been only taking clients for about 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So I must say you're killing it. And you're really helping people and empowering people. And I hope some of you out there will look into this further, and even with Beth. And if not Beth, then you might know of another astrologer. But I highly recommend you.
Well, thank you. But it is true that a reading by a good astrologer is so fundamentally helpful.
And one last question, Beth. Tell me something nice or true about yourself. I am blank.
Enthusiastic. I love that word. It's originated from Greeks, and it means in spirit, and I always love that, and I feel that that's astrology. I'm so enthusiastic about it. And astrology reading, really, for someone to empower themselves and step into their soul purpose and their full potential and accept themselves. We were talking about we're all born perfect with imperfections. That word perfect has gotten a bad name as have to be this way or this size and so forth, but really it's about accepting all of who you are.
I love that.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Beth. This
thank
has
you,
been
Ruth.
such a pleasure,
Thank
really.
you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be talking in the future. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Just another grown-up girl here sharing her story.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you learned a few things from this special guest. Remember, we all have gifts to use and share. My purpose is to invite you to take some action on the ideas and inspiration of each woman to make a difference in your own life and on those around you. Please like the Facebook page and subscribe and ring the bell on YouTube. I know it's so annoying to find that darn password, but then you'll get a whole catalog of the Just Us Grown Up Girls interviews. Thank you, and I truly appreciate you.